Hello and welcome once again. And this video is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It's one of the things I spend a lot of time with, and that is how to deal with a stressed athlete. We'll talk all about that in this video, so stay tuned. All right, we got to talk to coaches out there, parents even who play the role of coaches, don't have a lot of background in mind stuff. So we want you to trying to understand a little bit of what's going on there in the mind, learning to look beyond the facade, what that really means. You've got to begin to understand how to train the mind as well as the body. That's way too often overlooked. And then do some reframing. How do we redefine success and looking at how athletes identify, what are some of those identity traits that they're holding on to? All that stuff we're going to be talking about in this video next. Coaches need to begin to learn and understand this aspect of the mind and its role in athletics. Far too often, the old school model, which is still out there, of tear you down, build you up, push you to the limit mentally, kind of weed out those who aren't mentally tough enough. So, the others will be the elite athlete. And what that misses is, especially with high school students, that pressure, even from those that can be really top athletes, diminishes performance lots of time, or it manifests itself into problems in other areas. We're beginning to learn and understand this better now, which is good, but it's still kind of out there, some of this toughen you up type of mentality. The American College of Sports Medicine reported that there's an increasing risk for teen athletes for anxiety and depression, especially when their identity is so attached to their sport that they have a difficult time of separating the two. So that's something that we need to be aware of, begin to understand as anybody who's working with teenagers in the realm of athletics. In the one of my previous videos, we talked about some of the things to be eyeing and for teens and stress and how they react to it. So one of the things you can begin to look for are little symptoms, maybe a little more volatility, abrasiveness with teammates, uh, even driving, perfectionism. Some of these things, I can still think of one athlete who played with my son, who was a highly driven, highly motivated kid. Went on to Yale. He's a really good athlete, multi-talented, lots of different realms. Started in the musical, right? I mean, the kid's one of those kids that like could do everything. But still remember the head baseball coach going, "Oh, I love that kid." He said that after the kid missed a fly ball during practice, threw his glove down, started doing wind sprints back and forth in the outfield on his own, right? He was pushing himself. Now, that level of perfectionism, there can be a fine line between that and inappropriately dealing with stress. Now, that was one kind of data point. We looked at the other areas in his life. It's like, no, he's not stressing himself out. But if you begin to see that sort of thing manifest itself in other areas, you might begin to kind of take a step back and see that maybe you need to work with this athlete so that that stress doesn't begin to eat away at their performance and other things. So that's that idea of looking beyond the facade. There are a number of stories too of kids who get to the higher levels and literally have committed suicide because the stress has got to them and everybody's shocked, totally surprised. I never saw that coming because they didn't look beyond the facade. They didn't know how, right? So we're looking for a lot of changes in what has been normal behavior and particularly maybe in other areas of their life outside of the sport. One of the one of the great challenges, and I experienced it, trying to get people to really understand how to train the mind. And there's several components to this. There are things that a lot of sports psychologists, a lot of mindset people, a lot of people who do what I do that we all do. It's now out there enough that we talk about things like breath work and mindfulness and meditation and visualization and all these tools to help you deal with stress. Well and good. Needs to happen. What is overlooked? What's missed, like over and over and over again, is this idea of cleaning up the past, looking at the memories, looking at the identity, the beliefs, these things that are kind of buried in the unconscious, that when they are lurking there, it's like that we're trying to build a foundation without excavating the ground. It just doesn't work that well. It doesn't work for me to just plant plants in a garden with there's weeds and expect it to bloom beautifully without the weeds choking out the good stuff. That's what's happening with, with a lot of what we're doing if we just focus on those tools, right? So we really need to help them, one, clean up, and then train these habits around these other skills: visualization, meditation, mindfulness, all of those things. That's the complete mental training that needs to happen. What I'm talking about here with this idea of cleaning up, there's two athletes. I'll quickly tell their stories. One was Mark. He was a college athlete, sophomore year. His coach had said, and he doesn't even realize how good he is. He's got some D1 talent. He could be pitching at a number of D1 schools. Here he is at our D3 program. And in Mark's own words, he was just average. He felt himself as just an average player at best at this college. Well, he had some underlying beliefs that were lurking in the unconscious mind that discovered through asking questions. And once we discovered those, showed him how to eliminate those. The last 2 years of his college career, he didn't lose a game. He got a chance to play minor league baseball for 3 years. He began to fulfill his full potential because we were able to clear that out. And he was able to then better apply those kind of mindset, mind training techniques that we taught him. And Jill was a very similar case. Sprinter, expected to be one of the best in the state. Senior year, going to the last meet, she had no improvements in her times from her junior year. She was panicking, worried, she's coming in to the end. She was winning races, but she should be better in her mind. Well, we had to clear out some stuff. When we did that, 4 consecutive meets, 4 consecutive records, won the state meet, state record. She went on, got a D1 scholarship, right? That's the kind of thing that we're talking about, cleaning up. And then you can really apply those mindset tools. So this cleaning up process, one of the big things is this idea of identity. And that has many layers, right? There are labels that people begin to attach to their identity. One thing we want to be looking for too is how strongly their identity is tied up to the sport. And the reason that can be a challenge is when I am a baseball player, or I am a basketball player, or a football player, so whatever it is, and when it's so tightly connected, if an injury begins to happen, if they begin to miss time, it can impact their life overall dramatically. This is something that professional athletes have had to deal with when they near retirement, or if they lose, serious career-ending injury. Trying to address this identity that's been so tightly knit to who they are, they can go into depression from this. So we really want to watch that. But there are other subtle things too around identity that's going to shape how much they work out or don't work out in the off season, right? Do they really have this goal of wanting to compete at higher levels? Because if they do, but their identity is something different, then that may interfere with it, choosing the goals. So we really want to be looking at that and trying to balance that out. And that's one of the things that is often missed. Let me just tell you real quickly how this all plays out all together. I had to deal with this with my own son. After his freshman year of baseball, he was having a very difficult summer playing junior Legion baseball. And in our state at this time, junior Legion was really the next varsity. Legion baseball was really all upperclassmen, a lot of seniors, and even kids who already graduated, the way the aging worked. So junior Legion was it. And his freshman year, he's now playing this next wave of varsity players, and he did not do well. Coach, who is actually the high school varsity coach, began to wonder whether he was going to be able to play varsity. Well, my son, after not getting his only hit, came in the very last bat of the summer. He was depressed. It was eating me up watching him drag. So we went to work. There's several things we did. By the time he was a junior, when the 4-year starter at shortstop who had been playing ahead of him had now left and graduated, so shortstop's now opening, my son became the starting shortstop, an all-conference player. 2 years later, he was a walk-on at one of the top 10 Division III colleges in the country. Wasn't recruited because he was too small, too slow to play at that level, but yet he made the team and played there for 2 years. So he overachieved. Once again, as we end this video, I encourage you to please subscribe to the channel, check out other videos, and also engage. Like, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you pulled from it, your stories. Really appreciate the engagement. Anytime we get comments, I try to pay attention to those as best I can. So like this, share this, and make some comments.